going to be a bumpy night.
What's going on, people? This is the Laugh Bunker podcast. Thank you all for joining us in the year 2021. My name is Josh. Paul, great to see you in the new year.
Yes, thank you, sir. Happy New Year.
How's everything going? And let's get this going. Start the new year off with a new episode. Yeah.
Well, it's good to see you. Good to talk with someone who has a brain.
I've
been in a deficit for a while, and it's the holidays. Of course, were different, but my family was all healthy, and everybody, even though isolated in different parts of the country, we had some Zoom. We had some great. The gifts were different, or more thoughtful, or just funny, maybe.
Yeah,
but a good time. And but it was interesting because when was the last time we talked for the podcast?
I think the week before Christmas.
Okay, so had I cut my finger then?
No, I think it was after.
Okay, so let me wrap up 220 for everybody here. So I changed my life complete direction in my mid-50s because God wanted me to do stand-up comedy. And so I moved to a job, and 2 months later, there's never going to be a comedy club again. So then I hooked up with Moses. No, let me take that back. We didn't hook up. We hiked together.
Yeah.
And we trained for like maniacs to go do these hikes, Mount Wilmington and Mount Whitney, very strenuous, phenomenal workouts to even get there. And everything burned.
Yeah, that's right.
I said, that's okay. And then, I'm depressed. I'm partying like a maniac. And then I watched the Queen's Gambit. And I can't beat this girl partying. So I fail again. So I said, you know what? I'm going to write my own story. And then I cut my finger off. So
how does it look?
Thank God. So thank God for 2021.
How's the finger, by the way? Where is it at?
It's going to be another 3 weeks. So I'm going on 6 weeks. Okay. So what happened was, remember, I was painting a house, and I was putting that money toward gear. Well, I got a call on Sunday, the 20th, and it was Rich, and he says, "Hey, man, I tested positive." So then I'm like, "Oh," so I didn't know what to do. Do I call the hotel? Well, by the way, so everybody knows, there's a law now. If you do not tell, you can be terminated without question. So, and you should be doing this anyway because people are sick.
Yeah, because if you're exposed,
in California, just we need to get a handle. Yeah. So anyway, I called the lady. She says, "Oh, you have to get a test." I said, "Oh, well, yeah, I'm going to get a test." And so I couldn't get one for 3 days.
It's not easy.
And so this was, I got it on the 23rd, and I had to go to Downey to get it. In fact, 2 places to pick from: Downey or Palmdale, for that one time slot on that day.
Downey or Palmdale? That's a complete.
That was it.
Okay.
So I said, whatever. So I'm at home. I can't go anywhere. I can't work out, whatever. But I worked out at home. The truth is, I was enjoying myself. So Monday morning, I got up. And I always cook breakfast for Cynthia, my wife, when I'm home. And I go through phases. Right now, I'm in the turkey bacon burritos, egg burritos with turkey. That's just what I'm into. Pretty good. So take the bacon, cook it, and I use the Oscar Mayer brand because it has a little bit more salt, or at least more pork smell. And Jenny O is just too clean for me. So cook it. Put it in the freezer for a few minutes so that it stiffens up and I can cut it.
Yeah.
So I got a brand new cutlery kitchen knife from my wife. It was in my stocking, and you can probably it's like Rambo time. Okay.
Yeah.
So she always sits, and I sit in the kitchen and I talk to her on the other side of the living room. Yeah. And so and she came over, and I came down, and so I'm crunching bacon. So it's not like I'm just cutting little onions. And I knew it. I felt it. It was the weirdest freaking thing. And I looked down, and the piece was there. And I mean, within seconds, there was blood.
Yeah.
Now, as a carpenter, I mean, I mean, we're losing body parts left and right growing up.
Yeah.
And nobody goes to the doctor. But I was worried more just to get the antibiotics. If I
Yeah.
could have scored antibiotics from a friend doctor, I wouldn't have gone to the vet.
Yeah.
I knew they're not going to do anything but either put the super glue on it or cauterize it and get the veins. And I didn't know how, but it took off maybe 3/8, almost a half inch on the angle. So I put it in the bag. I mean, it was big enough for me to bring.
Okay.
So I went to San Gabriel. I pulled in the parking lot. It was surreal. Now, I don't know if you haven't been to a hospital in the last couple of months, it ain't a hospital that, you know what I'm saying?
I went to Baldwin Park Kaiser 2 weeks ago.
Were you in the emergency room?
My son has been having we determined we didn't know if he had an ear infection, but his back molars I think are coming in.
Oh.
So it was bothering his nose, and he's been tugging at his ears, and like, you know.
Oh yeah.
So he hasn't been having the funnest time in the past few weeks. So.
Well, over in San Gabriel, my wife dropped me off. She can't go in anyway.
Yeah.
And
one at a time. You can only go one person at a time.
There's ambulances.
Okay.
There were ambulances lined up with the doors open with people laying in it. And then there were tents where people were sitting in chairs.
So you came across like an actual
This is on the 20th of December.
COVID hospital, huh? Because when I went to urgent care or to at Kaiser, there was nobody there.
This was like watching the freaking Indomina strain.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so they came, took my temperature. What are you here for? I show them the bag with the finger or part of the finger. And they took my temperature. They allowed me in. I'm the only one in the waiting room because I don't have a fever.
Okay.
I don't even get past there.
Yeah.
They brought everything into the waiting room to me. But when I went to go pay or give my insurance card, I looked down the hallway into where the triage would have been. I didn't even get to triage. They brought everything out and did it there. And the truth is, I would have got better care 3 months ago or a year ago.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to tell you what. Now, now I'm going to tell you this. Remember the story about the thorn? Remember I got the thorn in my wrist with Moses, and the hospital said no, and my doctor said no, and the specialist and the MRI, and all this stuff that cost me a fortune in copays.
Yeah.
And then it popped out 30 days later, and it was 5/8 thick. That's the guy who came and looked at my finger.
The same guy?
Same punk with the brush cut red hair. Anyway, I don't even think he's a doctor. But who knows? Because everybody's wrapped up. I wanted to show him the pictures on my phone, but I just needed to get out of there. So anyway, they cauterized it and then, put the glue on it. And they said it's going to be, I can't type.
Wow.
But,
okay, so when you look down the hallway and all that, what did you see?
When I looked down the hallway, it looked like a disaster movie.
Oh.
I mean, it was just rows of gurneys in the hallways, everybody covered. And like I watched this guy, doctor comes out, or no, it was just a guy with the food. Okay. Comes out, puts the tray in this special container, takes everything off, puts everything back on, and goes to the next room. Now, how many freaking rooms are we going to?
Yeah.
So think about that, even think about the logistics of that.
Yeah.
Alone.
That's interesting. That you went to like an actual COVID hit hospital.
So when I could be enjoying COVID, I got no finger. I can't watch TV because I can't use the remote. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So anyway, I did get the COVID pay. I got my test and I instantly had to go back to work.
Yeah.
So that pretty much was my Christmas was bandaged. And anyway, it could have been worse, but it was what it was. The family's good. But it was an interesting insight to walk in and see that.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking earlier about experience and how certain, if you have an experience, it's better than knowing.
Yeah, you have some type of reference because you have personal reference. Yeah.
The pictures make sense. They have become life. So
Mhm.
everything I'm seeing has become life. And it was just, they have no food in the hospital for even the doctors.
Wow.
Everything was takeout was brought to them,
Takeout. Yeah.
delivered, Uber.
Wow.
So it was just kind of a
That's
surreal
crazy.
thing, and I was, and it is, but
But you
you know,
also for the other holidays, you worked a lot. You've been working a lot past few
I've been
days.
working
Yeah.
way too much because of certain problems at the
Problems at
hotel,
work.
and
Mhm.
yeah, I work 5 nights a week. I'm painting. I
Yeah.
am tired. But on the positive note, I'm going to tell you what. Even though that there were all these stops, maybe last year,
Yeah.
and I sent you the picture of going
Yeah.
to Yosemite.
Yeah.
I mean, that I can't go back.
Yeah.
My wife wants to go back, and I said, "Can we really?" Because
Is
you
it?
know what?
It's not gonna be good as a first time, I guess, because it's
Okay, so
perfect
you've been to
situation.
Yosemite. You know where that lower falls is.
Yeah.
Can you imagine nobody there on a
Nobody
Saturday?
there. I know. I know. You went at the perfect time. Yeah.
And and when I got to the top, okay, I am a nostalgic person, obviously,
Hmm.
but I also believe there are meccas.
Okay.
And I don't mean that in any context of religion. I'm talking about it is the secular term I'm using for the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, okay.
Or
So,
even like in the MMA game or the fight game, Las Vegas is considered the mecca for the fight game.
well,
Like,
and it's the mecca of gambling. So we're
yeah.
okay. We're on the same page with
Yeah.
this. So, on that note, Gold's Gym, Venice.
Mm.
That's the mecca of fitness in the world.
Yeah.
You can call whatever you want, but when it comes to weightlifting and you think about the money that was generated out of that stinking gym, it makes
Mhm.
Hollywood look weak.
Yeah.
And I lifted there. I mean, when you walk in there the first time and then, 34 years later, Arnold comes up to me and asks to work in, it's
Yeah.
quite an interesting concept.
Yeah.
To go there with Rich, the ex police officer, my friend, we used to go there at 6 in the morning
Okay.
for about a year.
Wow.
We would I had a great job and I was
Yeah.
able to do this. So on Monday mornings, we would drive there at we'd meet at 6 in the morning,
Uh-huh.
and the professional athletes are there. MMA guys are there. The biggest body, I mean, it is on a level and there's no bullshit and everybody's cool
Yeah.
because everybody's there and no one gives a fuck who you are. And I don't mean
Yeah.
to swear like that, but
Yeah.
there's a few places in the world that are like that.
Yeah.
Aspen, Colorado's like that too. Nobody cares who you are because everybody's here.
Yeah.
So you would say Mecca, correct, of bodybuilding, weightlifting, fitness, gym life is
Gym life.
Gold's
It's
Gym.
Gold's Gym. Mhm.
Okay. New York, Broadway, that's theater.
Theater
I
mecca.
don't care. I love London. Great Shakespeare. Thanks for getting the thing going for us. We took it
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And make no mistake, the training we learned here all comes from London.
Yeah.
It's all the classical training.
Yeah.
So would you agree, number two, that's a mecca, right?
Of
Broadway of theater,
oh yeah. Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Would you say, when you're talking about Himalayan climbing, mountain climbing, Everest, it's it,
It's it.
correct?
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
biggest, it's the best. So for rock climbing, it's Yosemite.
Hmm.
There's great climbing all over the world. There's great stuff.
Yeah.
But it started here, and like that documentary, it's so intertwined with the counterculture of America.
Yeah. Yeah.
The FU to corporate world, pretty
Yeah.
much. Maybe that's why I was so attracted to it. But to hike there to the base and look up and not see a person, I see
Yeah.
a person on the hike around the whole place.
Yeah. When I
Now, there
was there.
were people camped on the other side, which
Okay.
is by Half Dome, but not in the valley.
Yeah.
So then the next day, I got up. I went to Camp 4, the most famous campground in the world.
Uh-huh.
Would you not say?
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
Ghost town. There's nothing. It's closed. I have a video, and they have like monuments and memorials to the climbers who died.
Hmm.
Carved. It's just and so for me, having read and grown up, and I suck climbing. I'm too big, but I worshipped it for a while,
Yeah.
studied it. So to stand there and I went from Camp 4 and walked all the way up to the top of El Cap and didn't see a person. This is Sunday morning, July 28th.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
And now I'm standing up. I crawled down and I'm looking down.
That's crazy. Yeah,
it was so weird.
Yeah.
And it just was very clean. And it was at a hard time because, after 3 months of the quarantine and everything, and just, it was a great respite. My wife and I, we don't get a chance to get away.
Yeah.
By the way, always get away with your significant other's people. That's the time that matters.
Yeah.
And anyway, that being said, of all of last year, that really
was your favorite?
Was a magical moment because of the Mecca.
Yeah. Like
you said, Vegas. Yeah. Well, if you lived in Vegas and every day you were down there at the gyms and hanging out and doing that, you see that's it. Mm-hmm. Or if you're a gambler, I mean, I don't care. You can go to Monaco or Marengo or whatever, but there's only one Vegas, only one MGM. Uh-huh. You know what I mean? So, okay. So what was the most important moment in anything this year that moved you in a different direction? What would it be?
I think it was
did you make a decision during this time that you're really glad you did, or what are you doing?
I think it was knowing that like I was going to be placed on furlough for an extended period of time, and then seeing that as not as a depressing situation to where I was worried, or luckily I'm in a fortunate situation to where my wife was able to work from home and she makes good money and all that too. So we're in a good place. We're both in a good place. But it was just seeing it as more of an opportunity. I was like, all right, and now I can do things I want to do and try to get a bunch of stuff done as fast as I can in the amount of time. Because at that time we were thinking like, oh, everybody's gonna be back to work by June 1st. And then I think once that got extended, I started looking into school because I didn't want to jump right into school, not knowing what the situation was going to be, and then overload myself, classes and then work, and my son being so young and all that. So I waited, and then once I got the opportunity to see that things were going to be shut down for quite a while, I was like, all right, I'm going full on with this. I'm going to make.
That's how my father got his first degree, by the way.
Oh, really?
Working, he was out of high school. He got hired as an accountant for not General Motors, the tire company, like Uniroyal.
Okay.
And then he went to the University of Detroit and got his degree. But I remember him coming home from classes late at night as kids, kind of just not, you know what I mean? Because I think he went associate degree and then realized it's better to go up and whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so was there a defining moment in 2020 for you, or is there something that you look back on? Okay, you changed the direction. It was moving, getting furloughed, but is there an actual something that stands out? Was it, could it even be media based? Was it something you watched, or what was the moments for you that you're going to take into 2021 to make the changes that you want or go where you want?
I think, I don't know. I mean, I had a lot of good moments. Got out a couple of times and with the family, and so those are.
You went to really Zion, fun. Right?
Yeah, I went to Zion.
That was pretty nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really nice. And then stopped in Vegas and I spent the night.
Would you go back to Zion, by the way, just to stop for a second?
I would, because
go sometime without your young son.
Yeah, that's some of the things, because you can't experience everything because the trails are so long that there's no way he's going to last like for that.
Or you.
For me. So,
I mean, no, I'm just, the algorithm of 2 pounds on the back is about 50 on the feet. So if you're carrying a kid and you just can't carry the kid. Yeah, no. You got the backpack, you got the food, you got the water, the diapers or whatever. It's just, you're loaded up.
Oh yeah, about him too. Yeah, he had his birthday was right before Christmas. So
he's in the terrible twos?
Yeah, he's in the terrible twos, yeah. But he's been good. He's the same as he was a few months back, so it's fine.
No,
But
he's a very cute kid, and
yeah,
the times I've seen him, he's funny.
yeah, he's got a good sense of humor,
He
and he likes
has
to
a
joke around a
he
lot.
has a yes, he has a you know he's thinking of something, but he
Yeah,
can't. He's not going to say it because he doesn't want to get in trouble.
yeah,
I've seen that smirk on him.
yeah,
You know, I'm familiar with it. Let's
yeah.
just say.
Um,
Well, good.
and
Okay, so let me ask you
a
a question.
defining moment. I don't know if there's any one defining moment. I think the whole year, just kind of looking at it as like, um, I don't know, reevaluating priorities and seeing and where you're at in your life, my life, and where I can do what I can do for the future, and take some chances
So,
right
what day were you furloughed?
now. March 20th.
Yeah, but I think that must have been
I think
that must have been the letter, the email that was sent by the head of
yeah,
HR of every company, because I believe that was my last day too. That was a
yeah,
Sunday for me, I believe.
yeah. It was yeah,
Wow.
that or that weekend. It was like my last day was that Friday of that weekend.
Oh no, mine was Sunday, so I don't remember what
Okay,
exact date. But Rich is the one who also let me know that it was coming
it
down.
was coming down. Yeah.
So I went ahead and got the weights, and I painted. You know, I did a lot of
Mhm.
painting, and but like I told you, you know, there were so many different moves, but it really put me in the right place. And I would say
Yeah.
that, and this is crazy, but the defining moment in my year is that show, The Queen's Gambit. And that
Okay.
might sound stupid,
Yeah.
but there was something that
As an
opened my eyes.
inspiring type of something that
Uh,
inspired you to take, you know. And what
okay,
way did it was it?
parts of this girl I understand. Let me put it this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not the girl part, but I'm saying some of her activities.
Okay. Yeah.
And I understand how her brain works a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not chess, but I'm just saying there was something in it that really made me think about certain things and directions, and
Mhm.
about, you know, I watched her you know, young and then studying, and I talk sometimes to this that the guy who did the young man who did our guitar work.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just recorded with the lead singer of Fleet Foxes all weekend.
Okay. Oh, nice.
And then he had, and there was, I heard there was a test, and I afterwards I heard there was a quarantine. Don't know, but anyway, but anyway, guess what he does?
Huh.
He sits in his room and practices.
Mm.
And when you and I know we'll end up talking about our favorite things, but
Yeah.
that girl reading the book,
Yeah.
that Elton John movie of him playing the piano and reading music as a kid,
Yeah.
all this stuff is linked together.
Okay.
There's no difference
Yeah.
if you're the best MMA guy or you play the violin in the greatest orchestra.
Hmm.
There's something there that Tom Brady has,
Yeah.
that other quarterback, that Wentz, the Wentz guy from Philadelphia will never have.
Yeah.
Would you agree with this?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd agree. Yeah.
And so there was something in that, and I liked it. And it, I mean, when you can take Narcos from me, you've done something. Since my friend says, "How many times can you watch that show?" I said, "Why do you think I grew the mustache?" I'm Pablo Acosta,
Yeah.
who was the coolest guy in Narcos, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you just wanted to hang out with him. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? He
Yeah.
didn't want to really. He didn't want to even kill anybody. He just wanted to party and hang out. Seemed like a nice guy, you know.
That
But
was the show of that was another show of the year because that the second season of the Mexico came out, I think January, right?
mhm.
So yeah, it definitely was a Narcos year for us,
No,
especially for you.
well, obviously.
You took it to another level.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, I did. But anyway, it so that to me was very interesting. And my sister had given me The Godfather, the book.
Mm,
Now, when my wife and I were first married, we didn't have a TV for
mm,
about 4 or 5 years.
okay.
So I was at this time did construction.
Yeah.
I would go to the gym for 2 or 3 hours
Yeah.
and then read for 3 or 4 hours a night. And I get very addicted on certain subjects, and I just clamp on them.
Yeah.
And we read for hours, and then I just fell out of reading.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it wasn't because I didn't have a pursuit. I mean, when it came to climbing, I probably read every climbing book at Harold Washington Library in downtown Chicago because I just was driven.
Yeah.
And before that was American history, especially a lot of the fur trappers, the adventurists. We knew about the guy from the Revenant back in the 90s. We had read about him and what a badass he was. So
that's one thing I've done this quarantine was read a lot, at least as much as I could. I went through 4 books.
That is phenomenal.
It was
okay.
Autobiographies though. I went through.
Is that what you? So are autobiographies
like
your favorite?
Yeah. Well, I like learning about people and their journey in a lot of ways. Like I read Lucille. I've just finished Lucille Ball's memoirs. I read the book on Robin Williams. Mm-hmm. Producer Jerry Weintraub, his memoirs. I finished that one. And Scott Weiland.
Didn't he do Godfather?
No, he did
he did some big
Ocean's movies, the Karate Kid franchise, and a bunch of other stuff.
Okay, but he goes way back.
Yeah. He goes back,
okay,
and he was a concert promoter before that. So
yes.
Read his book, and then I first got exposed to him in the Chevy Chase movie, the Vegas one, Vegas Vacation. He makes a small cameo where he takes the son under his wing as like showing him the ropes of like Vegas, and he acts in that movie. And so I don't know, I was always fascinated with the guy. So ever since I saw that like back in the 90s, and then so I finished his book, and the lead singer of Stone Temple Pilots, Scott Weiland, his book.
Yeah, he was a madman.
Yeah.
It's funny. The first weekend that we were in LA, or had moved here, I had to go down to Venice. It was like I had to be there. So we went and we're hanging out on the Santa Monica Pier. This is 2007. So right after Labor Day, like even maybe that Tuesday or whatever. And they were, how there's the carousel, or there used to be the carousel. So we went in, there's the first restaurant there. Well, in the carousel area, there was this, they were having production or whatever. And I was kind of interested because I came out here for film or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was kind of looking around, didn't see nothing, whatever. So we went into the first restaurant. We sit down, and what was the band that he went to with Slash?
Velvet Revolver.
So that was the music video
during that time.
So they sat behind us. Slash. That's and cool. All of Guns N' Roses, whoever was from Guns N' Roses, and that guy came in. That guy looks like a monster in person. He's
Scott
so skinny.
Oh yeah, especially during that time. I think he relapsed around that time. So.
Oh my gosh, it was just.
He's always.
What it is when you see people and you worship them on the TV, and then when you see them, because obviously there's a different perception because of camera lens and angles and algorithms of light, but.
I seen him in different stages. I saw him when he was on the Family Values tour in I think 2002. It was with a bunch of other bands, and I saw him there, and he looked kind of like healthy and shape. And I saw him again when he was doing a solo thing. He did a performance at the Carson Daly late night show.
Okay.
And they were filming it over at the Wiltern or in that area. I forget which one it is. They're filming it in there, and I saw him there, and it was a small room, and he was doing his solo thing. I don't remember the song or anything like that, but it was he looked healthy. But during the Velvet Revolver days too is when he was always up. If you read his book, he's always on and off of drugs. It was just a constant.
Well, I think it's pretty much that's the roller coaster.
The roller coaster, rock star,
world, obviously, no matter what your addictive is.
And that Velvet Revolver time, I think it was one of the best kind of combo bands that they were doing, because they did Audioslave, which is Soundgarden, and Rage Against the Machine, which was a great combo, and then they had Velvet Revolver and Stone Temple Pilots. Oh no, I'm sorry. Velvet Revolver, which had Stone Temple Pilots and Guns N' Roses, which is a little combo right there. And those two came around the same time as each other. Oh, both put out great albums, like both bands.
Well, we're gonna do a music thing in a few minutes because I've been watching a documentary, but I just wanted to finish up. So I read The Godfather.
Yeah.
And because I saved the forward to the 1st of January, I can count it this year. Even though I read it last year, I legally can count it. So I got one book in.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the book.
Okay.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it as much as the movie. And what I really loved about it is that I could hear the voices.
Uh-huh.
So I'm seeing the movie.
It's nice to do. Yeah,
it was just wonderful. But then it follows a lot of Johnny Fontane in Hollywood. It follows the Lucy girl, the bridesmaid that Sonny's having the indiscretions with.
Okay. Yeah, so it gives you some backstory.
And Tom Hagen is supporting Lucy, that girl. The family supports her and hooks her up with Freddie in Vegas.
Interesting. Okay.
Just and I'm going to say it just because I have to, but in the book, you know how Michael shows up with the limo and Diane Keaton, Kay's walking in front of the school, member on the road, and she gets in the car.
Yeah.
The mom stays in contact with Kay in the book, and she's waiting at the house when Michael comes.
Ah, that's cool.
So
yeah,
it's just really an interesting, but the Johnny Fontane, because, you know, old Hollywood, those parts were spectacular.
Yeah.
And
because they only show him for a brief. His story is a brief segment in the movie. It's like
he's there in the movie for the wedding and the funeral.
Yeah, in the funeral. Oh. And then the story revolved around the producer and the horse head and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. So the deal was, because he had lost his voice, the doctor or the hotel doctor that Lucy's banging or having indiscretions with in Vegas fixes his throat. And the Godfather just wants him to go into producing, and he's going to gives him $25 million off the bat to produce 5 movies, just to screw the Wolves guy over. No, I mean, so it added a richness.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about, so I'm on a roll. My goal is to read 25 books. Now my best friend read 80.
That's a lot of time. Yeah. It's a lot of time.
COVID time, obviously, too. You know.
She read 80 during this whole year?
Yeah.
Wow.
I wrote it down. Heather Stahnke, 80 books in 2019.
Jesus Christ.
So she's a very intelligent lady, by the way.
Yeah.
Incredible conversationalist, because she knows everything about everything.
Yeah. I usually get a chapter in a couple of chapters in a week. Especially if it's a big book. Just because I'm like, usually late at night is when I can read, and I'm tired.
I can't read at night.
I'll do what I can.
Man.
Yeah. Or a little bit during the day while the little one's playing around me.
I'm reading an hour, 5 hours a week, starting.
Okay.
But I'm a pretty voracious reader.
That's not bad. That's doable. Yeah.
So when I start reading,
and it's a nice break. If you're able to separate yourself, it's a nice break to go and.
Well, and you know what? You can't write at work. I can't at lunchtime go from my job and go, oh, let me write something poetic. It ain't gonna happen. I'm just emotionally drained.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I'm averaging about 8 to 9 miles a night, and I stopped doing all elevators. I do everything by foot now.
Yeah.
Even if I have to carry stuff if I have to carry 200 pounds, I'm not going to do it. But I mean, I am using my job to do what I want in my life.
Yeah.
So I do all my exercise extra. I spend my time reading and I write. So in the early morning, I like to watch the lobby to keep out the criminals and perpetrators.
Yeah.
And I'm just working. So what I'm doing there, I can't actually write, but I can organize and edit. So I bring up my programs. I go through what I've written.
Yeah.
I throw it on because I don't have to have continuous thought. I'm just editing.
Yeah.
It's not you know what I mean? I'm just doing grammar there.
So in terms of creative creative inspiration for this year, Queen's Gambit, The Godfather, and Narcos were part of your creative outlets, like your creative inspirations this year.
No, Narcos. Here's the year. Narcos was the inspiration for partying.
Yeah.
Queen's Gambit realized I can't beat her, so it's time to give it up. I mean, she would bury me, and how embarrassed!
Yeah.
I'm 58. I'm buried by some 18-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm from Chicago. I have a big stash. I can't put up with that. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, am I thinking outside the box?
No. Yeah.
So anyway, let me just say, the Queen's Gambit.
Yeah.
We already talked about how the guy who created the script from the book, he did Wolverine. He's done everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Was it James Mangold?
Yeah. So, no, Scott.
James Scott?
Scott Frank.
Scott Frank. Okay.
Alan Scott also is involved in writing, but the guy who created it was. And now the Queen's Gambit was originally going to be by Heath Ledger, directed by Heath Ledger in 2007 before he died. Now the guy Scott Frank, Get Shorty, Out of Sight, Minority Report, The Wolverine, Godless. Is there anybody this guy hasn't worked with?
Yeah.
And obviously, Godless being his first scripted thing, Queen's Gambit was knocked out of the park.
Yeah.
So I have found some faults in it.
Okay.
I mean, just some editing things that I caught or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, side note, I'm going to go back to Queen's Gambit.
Okay.
The Godfather. It was on during the holidays. I watched it 300 times and made spaghetti every day.
I can believe it. I can watch 300 times too. Did you have
something I never saw?
What is it?
Okay. Do you remember when Michael is sent to Sicily and there's a Don who has a limp?
Yeah.
Remember? I don't know what his name is. It's not Tommaso or whatever, but I remember he's the one.
The one that's in the restaurant? The one he meets?
No. When Michael is sent to Sicily.
Yeah.
The Brando has a friend there. Don Tommaso who takes care of him, takes him up into he's got a limp, remember?
He almost never really gets out of the car. He kind of leans on the car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he comes up and says that, remember, he's the one who, he does get out of the car a little bit and says, listen, bad news from America, you got to leave, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's when Fabrizio sets the bomb and takes off. Yeah. In the book, by the way, they hunt him down in Brooklyn.
Oh, really?
Kill him. He has a pizza place because he got paid off by the Tattaglia family. Remember?
Okay. Yeah.
And Bazzini.
Yeah.
But see that little element. So, when we go to Godfather 2 and Robert De Niro is playing the young Marlon Brando, goes to Sicily and they go to see the Don, the one old guy, right?
Yeah.
And he shows him the olive oil, and his partner there, and I don't remember his name, says, oh, well, this is our friend from New York. He wants to do this. Can we get your blessings? He goes, I can't hear your name.
Yeah, I can't hear your name.
And he comes in, and then he cuts him, right?
He cuts him, yeah.
Takes off. The friends he's with gets shot with the, remember? Gets shot with the shotgun in the leg, gets pulled into the car. They've been friends since then. And I never picked it up that it's the same guy.
You know what? Me neither. Yeah, that makes
Now, in some ways, that's pretty pathetic that that's what I was doing on Christmas Day. But in other words, that has been the magic of that movie my whole freaking life.
Yeah. Even
going back to oranges are in all the pivotal scenes.
Yeah.
And remember the oranges everywhere? Shot, dies, heart attack. Even the death of the Godfather. The book is worth a read. So the Queen's Gambit, the guy who created it, worked with everybody. You work with Spielberg. Let me tell you what. Hello.
Yeah.
There is nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and Soderbergh, and just on a different level. So the guy who wrote the book, guess what else he wrote? He had 3 books written into movies.
Okay.
And it's Walter Tevis. This was published in '83, The Queen's Gambit, the year before he died.
Okay.
Last thing. He wrote The Hustler with Paul Newman, the pool movie,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
sequel, Color of Money, with Tom Cruise and Paul Newman.
Nice. Okay.
Kind of interesting when you
Yeah.
think about the concept of game.
Uh-huh.
Would you say that I suck at pool. I had one good game in 50 years, and it was luck. And I think the other person was on heroin.
My
But
my game falls apart like midway through, and I'm usually beaten.
I can break like a mother. I can shoot those balls off the table, but
Yeah.
after that, but when you look at people who play pool and practice all the time,
Mhm.
is there a difference in that in chess?
No, you're no. I mean, in terms of
There's a
strategy, yes,
physical skill,
but physical
but
skill and mental
you
strategy.
pick. They choose the balls how to work
Mm-hmm.
in an algorithm to win. Correct.
Yeah, it's that level of
So
focus.
he wrote these two
Should be too.
books, and I thought that was pretty interesting. The other book he wrote was uh the other movie was The Man Who Fell to Earth with David Bowie. I've never
Okay.
seen it. I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
That's his first book that went to film.
Okay.
But I didn't know anything about it. But anyway, the next book I'm reading, I'm almost done with The Queen's Gambit. The next book I'm going to read is a film that I'm looking forward to see this year is No Man Land. It's a film.
Okay.
It's going to be a film by Jessica Bruder. It has Frances McDormand
Okay.
in it. And it talks about people who've lost their homes, kind of work in these camps for Amazon.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the trailer, but I think this
Yeah.
lady is the bomb when it comes to acting. And I can't think of one project that she hasn't been in that I haven't liked.
Yeah.
And
what's your preference when it comes to books? Is it films, books based off movies? What's your go-to? Obviously, it seems like it's fleshing out more of the story of films that you, or film projects that you like or that you're interested in. Getting that backstory.
Okay. Like I said, whatever I'm into, I stink in.
Yeah.
I just read it. I like to know everything about it.
Yeah.
Film is always going to be important to me.
Yeah.
It's my tranquilizer in life, whatever. So it's been interesting to read these. To read The Godfather, I don't normally read books with film because I'm suspect. Now, Harry Potter, I mean, I think Harry Potter, that lady and whoever ran that series, it's brilliant. There's no mistakes in this. So for that type of book to read, it's like you're getting a little bit extra, like little tidbits or the crumbs that have been thrown by but one thing I decided this year, for the last 3 years, I keep trying to read these scholastic books to make me a better writer, and they sit on my stinking desk, and I can't stand academic writing. It's boring as hell to me.
It'll put you to sleep, yeah.
And you know what? I saw a Zoom. I don't watch these podcasts. I don't listen to them. Not just ours or anybody, but I saw that there was a guy, two producers, and I don't know what the show was, but the one guy was older and he'd been like done everything. Okay. And when I saw their writing rooms, guess what was on the walls? Books. Like freaking solid.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm just going to read shit I like.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I'm reading, my brain's working.
That's all that matters.
I don't need to learn anything else unless I really am going to do some type of technical work or whatever. So I and movies are stories.
Yeah.
And you said autobiographies.
I do. I like reading about people that I find interesting.
No, I do too. I read those also.
A lot of times that revolve around the arts. So most of the people like I've mentioned, they all in some way have been involved in the arts, and those are the ones I'm interested in. And the ones I have coming up next are the Elton John's the next after that, and then I'm not sure which one I have.
Well, and so okay, those are the books I'm going to read. And the truth
Disney, Walt Disney. I have a Walt Disney one. So
from the first guy, Walt Disney.
Oh yeah, Walt Disney.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a extensive biography of him that I'm looking forward to reading. So I've always been, ever since I was a kid, I was fascinated with Disney, his how he's put together the entire company and his animation process and his movie making process, everything. I've always loved the guy.
Something just the guy this year, the guy who sold all the property in Orange County to Disneyland just died within the last week or two. DeSantis or something. It was a Spanish name.
Okay.
But yeah, the person who, and I guess part of the deal was partnership or whatever, but the person that provided the land passed away. And I don't know if it was 1, 2, 3, 4 of January or late December, but just very recently. So check that out. It was an interesting article, in fact.
Speaking of Disney, have you seen? I've watched several things, and we're going to get to some of the stuff that we've been watching. But have you seen the movie Saving Mr. Banks?
That's the one with Tom Hanks and Emma Thompson.
Yeah.
Yes, I did see it.
You see?
A long time ago, though.
Yeah, I just kind of went back to it. I never really finished it, and then I recently just watched it all, and I enjoyed it. It was because it's kind of more of a biopic of the writer of Mary Poppins. It's more of a biopic of her with the Disney as like an added element.
I saw that at the theater.
Saving Mr. Banks?
No, Mary Poppins.
Oh, Mary Poppins.
I'm just saying. They used to circulate that stuff when I was kids. Like I saw Gone with the Wind at the theater with my parents. They brought it out for Christmas time or whatever. But you know,
that movie's great. Yeah,
he's able to disappear because as soon as you said, talking about Disney, I was thinking about Mr. Rogers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And to follow up after the doc, and I don't know if anyone saw the doc about the original Mr. Rogers, Welcome to My Neighborhood, or for whatever. I don't remember what the name was, but you cry at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's so powerful. And I thought Tom Hanks was able to slip into that. And to follow up, I mean, to be an actor and play an iconic person, it's got to be one of the greatest risks in your career. Remember the dude who was Vic Mackey on The Shield, Michael Chiklis?
Yeah.
Remember he did the John Belushi bio early in his career? Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, and he got a little you didn't hear from him for a while.
Yeah, that's a fact. It can be a hit or miss. I mean, but if it hits, it can make your career right there.
But things were different back then.
Yeah.
They enforced things. It was before the digital world of everybody sins.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, everybody does sin.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that person who hasn't, because I need some lottery numbers fast.
Yeah. Saving Mr. Banks is pretty good though, because I watched some documentaries on other creators that had it involved.
Who wrote the book that you're reading? I mean, is it his autobiography?
No, it's it's
it's a biography then.
It's a biography of him. Yeah, he didn't write it, but no. As far as the movie, because I watched a couple. Disney has a lot of documentaries about the creative process of like some of the behind the scenes key players and their history. And so when you watch Saving Mr. Banks, there are two brothers that are doing the music with her. Remember, they're in the room with her, and when she's criticizing them about.
I got to be honest with you. I've been it's been a lot of movies, so I will revisit it. But I do know what you're talking about. So
there are two brothers in there, and then Disney, their streaming service has a really good documentary on those two brothers who basically wrote every animated hit from that time period. I mean, they were Walt's go-to guys, and they just churning
it's interesting
hits
on the same note.
Yeah,
I watched that. I sent you that. I sent you that clip by the Grassroots.
Yeah,
that's a good song. Would you say?
Yeah, it was.
So one thing I watched this year, one thing and that I had not seen before was Rocket Man, which we'll talk about that in a second. The Elton John. But I watched this documentary called Echo in the Canyon.
Okay.
And it's about Laurel Canyon back in the late 60s and 70s. And earlier we were talking about how people were living together and working together. But when you see these great, I mean, when they're all sitting around smoking a joint and Eric Clapton shows up to jam with you, I mean, it's just on a level.
Yeah.
And that music has become, and it's really interesting because that music from that era is appropriate for 2020 if there ever was music.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And when you listen to these lyrics, but I was talking about that Lou Adler. He was a great producer back on Sunset.
Okay.
Mama Papas, the
Okay.
Grassroots, and they had this band called and all these hits. There was this band. Have you heard the Wrecking Crew?
It
They were
sounds
studio
familiar.
musicians that end
Okay.
up being on almost everybody's freaking album in that 60s and 70s.
Okay.
It's a highly recommended documentary. It's become, in fact, okay, I work out to Pandora.
Uh-huh.
I don't listen to music at the gym, but because I don't think it's right to not be able to hear if someone needs to talk. But at home, I listen to my Pandora station 60s and 70s,
Uh-huh.
or the Mama and Papa station.
Okay.
And these bands like the Grassroots, the Association. I mean, some of this, the creativity
Yeah.
is just, and the musicianship. Like in this documentary, I wasn't a big Beach Boys fan growing up. I was more into the harder rock. But Tom Petty says that Brian Wilson is Amadeus in doing the music and the lyrics. And I guess there's this famous album, which I haven't, called Pet Boys. It was just defining, it inspired the Beatles
Okay.
to do Sgt. Pepper's.
Nice.
So let me tell you what, if you're inspiring the Beatles, you pretty much are on
another
level. But this
Yeah.
documentary really played into it. So then I started getting into watching the music stuff.
Okay.
So my wife's favorite movie of 2019 is the Rocket Man about Elton John.
Okay. Which came out like late 2019, early, so 2020 is when most of us kind of like really.
Yeah, but it was up for the Oscars, and this guy should have got nominated for a freaking Oscar because when you're in your 20s and you're singing all these songs, and
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that movie. Like I loved it. Because I watched Bohemian Rhapsody and then that movie around the same time, almost back to back.
Yes, me too.
I enjoyed Rocket Man way more.
My wife. Well, I think some of it is because when you go back to Echo Canyon, the Echo Canyon film, because remember, Elton John became a hit because he won the Troubadour on Sunset. So,
but it was a creativity. It was a creativity in that movie. The music, the storytelling, and the breakout songs where they would break out into songs and musical. I thought it was just like
the OD.
Yeah, the OD where you
Rocket Man,
everything
into Dodger Stadium is okay. I'm sorry, Anna Taylor-Joy, but I think that sequence is probably one of my favorite sequences.
Yeah.
And having grown up in that era, I'm familiar with the music. I'm familiar with that concert. I'm familiar with everything. And I thought, and my wife mentioned something that was very interesting. Even the way he held his mouth was right on.
Yeah.
And the relationship with Bernie Taupin, it started slow. Personally,
it did.
I thought the relationship with the mom and dad was. I understand how you have to put the basis for it to who we created as a person.
Yeah.
The only thing I thought this was my wife who's a genius, so this is what she said, and I agree. The final music video where they digitally cut him into the original video, it threw me off because it didn't work. Yeah. And not on my TV, it didn't work. Maybe on the film, it might have worked, but when you go Super HD, it separated it.
Yeah.
And then at the end, saying how great of all the great things he did, you should have just left me right when that ball hit Dodger Stadium, and I didn't need to know anything else about him. I mean, I know he goes back and fights his demon in the rehab.
I think with that movie, there are things that you can look at, and they could have done better.
No, but in no way a judgment. But when I'm on that kind of an emotional high, and then bring me to reality, it was like a break for me a little bit.
I think when you look at Bohemian Rhapsody, it was very, I don't know. It was very, I don't know. I think Rocket Man fleshed out the character more, the backstory, who he was, and then his journey. Where it was like with Bohemian Rhapsody, it was like we're here, and then now we do the big concert, and then it's over. Like it's just, it was very like
even to reshoot the most famous performance, like my wife was saying, shot for shot.
Yeah, that was insane. Yeah,
I thought his performance. I love that actor.
Yeah. It
You
was a
know,
little
I
safe,
watch him
though,
on
too.
his
It was a little
show.
like, I don't know. It was a little safe. I thought Rocket Man was a little bit more, I don't know, went
Listen,
for it a little bit more.
I love creativity.
Yeah.
And I love Elton John.
Yeah.
Now, the only downside, okay, now this is going to be crazy. So, when they did the sequence for Tiny Dancer,
Yeah.
you're not going to beat Almost Famous on the Bus, Tiny Dancer. That
No,
ain't
no,
happening.
no.
That ain't going to happen. You're not going to go from, I'm on drugs on the roof
Yeah.
to Tiny Dancer.
Tiny
So
Dancer.
that, I think that's one of the greatest music videos in
Uh-huh.
me. That's one of my wife's favorite. That's my wife's favorite song.
That's one of my favorite, like rock or music, like movies, is Almost Famous. You know, another one that doesn't get a lot of credit, but I think is actually pretty good, is the one with Mark Wahlberg, where he's
With Jennifer Aniston.
yeah.
There was something too muscular about that movie.
It was, but it was definitely awkward to see him singing and in this.
I wanted to see the underwear, the Calvin Klein underwear, and I never got it.
I like that movie. I don't know. I think it's a good rock. What's it called? I think it's a good rock,
Anthem,
or even just
an
a
analogy, maybe, or
music movie.
There's an A word out there for it.
Yeah.
I can't think of.
As far as music inspired movies, it's one of my favorites. And then a lot of stuff was written for that movie, like how Almost Famous was. A lot of the music that they performed was written for the movie. Same with that movie with Mark Wahlberg, where it was written for him. That was all done for the movie. It wasn't famous songs. So I don't know. I liked it. It had that hair metal. It had a backstory, like a hair metal theme to it, which I kind of liked.
Well, it's interesting now that you're saying that.
Yeah.
So I was looking at some of the most anticipated movies that are coming up. Okay.
Okay.
One of them for me is Last Night in Soho with Anna Taylor-Joy.
Okay.
And it's
anything she's in, I'm gonna check it out.
Check this out.
Doesn't matter what she's
So
in.
she gets stuck in some sort of time warp and ends up in London in 1960 with fashion, and there's a murder.
Oh, that's perfect. Taylor for her.
I mean, it's just going to be. I think I'm excited.
Careful. She's got to be a little bit careful doing too many of that time period. She's got to watch.
Yeah, I know.
This has got to be the last one.
There's nobody who looks better in those clothes than her.
No.
So that's coming out. But when you look at music, you've got Baz Luhrmann.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing Elvis.
Okay.
And you've got a lot. You've got and Peter Jackson's doing the Beatles from the 70s. Get back.
That's right. There's a it's on the Disney app. They have a sneak peek of it. But yeah, it's a documentary. I'm looking forward to that one.
You got Lin-Manuel in the Heights.
Mm-hmm.
You got the French Dispatch, the new Wes Anderson movie.
Okay.
Then you got Now I'm interested in all these. You got Top Gun. You got In the Heights. There's this movie called Supernova.
Okay.
It's with Colin Firth and Stanley Tucci. I love Stanley Tucci because of A Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, I like that guy. I love that movie. Yeah.
We
both love that movie.
Because I call that an info movie.
Yeah.
So in other words, I'm getting that's just a biography. I've read the real book too, about where it came from. So it gives us, but it's about a longtime couple embark on one last trip in a van through England after Tucci is diagnosed with dementia.
Oh, okay.
And in the reviews, and both these actors are Colin Firth is also one of my favorite actors.
Yeah.
But the movie I'm kind of really interested in is The Tragedy of Macbeth.
Okay.
And it's directed by Joel Cohen.
Okay.
And it's the first movie that his brother's not involved in.
Interesting.
And it's Denzel Washington. And Frances McDormand's playing Lady Macbeth.
Okay. Sounds
now,
good.
Denzel Washington has faded for me in film.
He has.
But his work on stage, I mean, well, that's not true. Fences is one of my favorite performances of him, but it's from a play. He's a great actor because he put it out on stage.
Yeah.
And anyway, I'm very excited about this.
That's cool.
Now, my wife speculated that Frances McDormand is making her husband direct it because there is no other role than Lady Macbeth when it comes down to it. That's pretty much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much the top woman
That's
role
pretty-
on stage for
Yeah.
sure. So in film. So anyway, I'm very excited because the Coen brothers, I love their work as you do.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Let me, that's good. That's good. Kind of a segment right here. We can take a look at your favorite upcoming 2021 releases. I think as far as 2021 releases, I mean,
but we can also do this next week because this is a pretty intensive show to do. To be honest with you, and I like to go a little. I Googled at 3 a.m. Okay, so I would like to do some research of what's coming out. What are you anything sticking out you're looking forward to? I mean, not in detail.
No, just off the top of my head, just some of those big blockbuster.
Don't say those. Don't say.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Don't you say the M word on this show.
you got a couple of those Marvels out there, and you got you got Dune. I'm interested in. I want to see what Matrix.
I'm so scarred from the last one.
I know. This one looks good though. It got a great cast.
Hey,
I want to see.
Okay, on a side note,
Matrix 4. I want to see what that looks like.
Let me just take you on a side break. Going back to Doom, I attempted to watch the film about a boy with Timothy Chalamet and Steve Carell. It's about the drug addiction.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I haven't seen it. I know the movie though. That was when he kind of first burst onto the scene though. That was like his.
Well, there wasn't
role.
there some award nominations involved with that, right?
That was
this kid is, make no mistake, and the reason I'm going to say this is because of the Dune. But when I grew up, in the late 70s, Dune on books was it.
Yeah.
Had the buzz of the Harry Potter stuff.
The movie's hard to get through. It's hard to watch.
Really had a following. The first movie, because we kept thinking of the guy's original show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, or his TV show. But it just, Timothy Chalamet, man, this guy is a pretty stinking good actor. He did the film with
Pattinson, with the King.
The gay movie. He had the gay relationship with the actor. It was really great. Movie.
Was it about not about a boy? I know what you're talking about.
Okay. He's a good actor.
He is.
And even going back to as a young man, Cynthia saw him, and Lady Bird.
Yeah, that's right. He was in there too. Mm-hmm.
So really, I agree. That could give some credence. Who directed it?
You know what? I want to say someone that we referenced before too.
You know who would have been a great director for this project? Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
because he has that Pan's Labyrinth, and he has that visual like this.
Oh, it's Denis Villeneuve. It's the director of Blade Runner 2044, Sicario, and The Arrival with Amy Adams. He did that. He did those movies.
Okay. Well, he has the concept.
Yeah, he has the concept for it, the eye for it. Yeah. Anything just before we end this? Any stuff you've been watching the last week or so?
Well, I watched I watched The Godfather. I went back and watched a couple climbing documentaries. I went back and watched the Valley Uprising one time.
Okay.
Because even in the 70s, they show the cars coming in, and so it was very nostalgic. Nothing. I mean, I go back to the same old stuff. I'm sitting around. I will say though that I've been spending more time on Amazon,
like
recently than Netflix.
Yeah. No, they have a lot of great stuff.
For some reason, on Netflix, all their stuff is seeming the same, or just there's something about it. And I watched Dead Poet Society again.
Yeah, it's on Amazon free.
It's on Amazon. So I'm seeing, and really, truth is, I probably watched a lot I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I really, I'm liking. I watched some episodes of Miss Maisel. I kind of jumped around. I watched a couple of documentaries. Rocket Man's on there.
Yeah. Amazon has a lot of really good films available for free right now.
And I started watching another one of their another rock documentary too. Now, on a side note,
HBO too. HBO's got some good stuff.
Well, you have everything on there if I buy all the packages, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah, you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it cheaper then to go through them and buy everything than to go
Well, because I know
individually?
they have HBO Max, which is I
Mhm.
don't know, a separate thing, so they have their own content on there too. So I don't know, but I would agree with you. Amazon, as of right now, I think Amazon has the best content to go to.
Well, very eclectic, very
Yeah,
diverse.
yeah. I just watched
Just
I
stuff
just
I
watched the movie
really
Snatch.
like.
I watched the movie Snatch again. I love that movie. The British mob movie. I love that
Oh
movie.
yeah.
So I watched that one again. That's on Amazon free. So
That dude, the director, was married to Madonna.
yeah, yeah.
So
But
other than that, it's going to be a good year. I'm excited.
yeah, I watched that History of Comedy on CNN, that documentary series.
Oh, I've seen that before.
Oh,
I've
so
seen not all the episodes, but I
uh,
saw the Dirty Word one, and I
yeah,
saw.
it's so good. I think you would enjoy it. I mean, it's
Oh no, I've watched most of it. In fact,
two seasons. I think 8 episodes each, or 6 episodes each. But
I think I might have only seen the first season. To be honest with you, now it's
it's
been
good.
going for quite a while.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. How they have one that's um, the one that, like, people that we've lost, and they go through, like, they'll go Belushi, Farley.
That's
They'll bring
now there's a documentary I saw that's on HBO or something about
uh,
Belushi. Have you heard about
I
it?
think they're coming out with one. Yeah,
Yeah, I saw
yeah,
the cover plate of it, and it
yeah.
looked
Looks good.
you know
What
I
else?
remember it just grow
I s
what if next time you go to Chicago,
Yeah.
go to Second City.
Okay. They have
And
an episode on there with just strictly improv, and
yeah,
they do the back of Second City. They do all that stuff. You'll definitely enjoy that one.
well, I've seen some of this. Like I remember the people we lost had Farley on it and different people.
It's such a good, the way they edit it, who they have in there commentating. It's such a
Hey,
good.
Mecca, Second City in Chicago,
Oh, for sure.
Improv Mecca.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Okay,
definitely. Yeah.
when you go there, so we would go there on Wednesday nights,
Mhm.
and it was free. That's why we went.
Yeah.
And they would take. That's when they did improv and not shows. Second City is scripted. Improv Olympic is more improv and not as scripted.
Yeah.
They actually do the Herald, the 3 section. But when you go there, they have a camera
Yeah.
and they record what's going to be funny.
Mm.
So they take recommendations, and then whatever gets the rise, then they develop into their skits for their weekends.
Yeah.
But that's the theater's upstairs. So you go through the basement from downstairs. In that area is Old Town Chicago. It's like where all the hip counter, the clubs, the rock and roll. It's got a real vibe. The restaurants, you walk out, it's all mom and pop. It's
good. That's
gentrified
cool.
now. I just drove by it the other day. It's not
Yeah.
what it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
But when you walk up the stairwell, they have the photographs
Yeah.
of who's been there. And there's something pretty magical about walking up that staircase and you're seeing Joan Rivers, Mike Nichols, Gilda Radner, John Belushi, all the people from Freakin' Toronto that we watch, the Molson guys, the Home Alone, the Schitt's Creek people.
Yeah.
It's all, it just gives you a vibe.
Yeah.
Like, you've been to the Ice House?
Yeah, I've been in the Ice House. Yeah.
Remember when you walk in that little area and all the photos and there's Johnny Carson and going back to the Henny Youngman and the greatest?
Yeah, Ice House has that. The Comedy Store has that. You walk in the Comedy Store and you have all these, like, photos of all the people. They're all signed. Right in the front, there's a photo of Pauly Shore. He's a young teenager sitting on one of the
I just saw Pauly Shore. I attempted to watch this movie on Netflix with Pauly Shore called The Guy Who Lives in the Back of the House or whatever.
Okay.
It is, and I'm not working in Hollywood. That's all I can say. I have 3 brain cells, and I can't make it. And
you lost them after that, yeah.
Oh, it was the worst thing I've ever seen.
He had a good run in the 90s, though. I was a big fan of his.
You know one of my favorite movies of his? I never thought I'd be talking about favorite movies of Pauly Shore.
Yeah. He had some good ones, man.
With Brendan Fraser.
Yes.
Brendan Fraser's The Caveman.
Yeah, Encino Man.
Encino Man.
So
and
it's classic.
The one dude, the bad high school kid, I can't think of his name. He plays evil people.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great.
It is great. I watched it not that long ago, maybe 6 months ago again. It's a classic.
The scene where they dance in the bar.
Yeah.
Anyway, So
He had
that's
Jury
my
Duty. I
favorite.
remember Jury Duty. He had Jury Duty that came out around that same time too. Biodome. Yeah,
Biodome was with Stephen Baldwin.
Stephen Baldwin. But I definitely Encino Man is by far his best.
Well, and Brendan Fraser's great.
Oh,
And
he's
I
great.
mean, I thought he
Oh,
was phenomenal.
he's
in it.
great. Great.
And he really had a big rise in Hollywood. So
Yeah.
anyway, that being said,
It's good catching up.
what I love, it's just like my real life. The most tumultuous year in politics, and yesterday, one of the most tumultuous days, and I did not hear one conversation. When I went to the gym, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't care less.
Yesterday and today. Today it's getting pretty crazy out there today, yeah.
I could care less. Anyway, other than that,
all right,
it's always good to see you, Josh.
See you.
Always a treat to talk. Thank you for anyone who listens. We'll put our list together. Please send it to me. And next week, let's really talk about what we're looking forward to, because I think that will there be theaters next year?
Movie theaters? I think so. People are going to eventually want to get out. People need contact. So I think it's going to happen.
Maybe they'll be saved in the middle of the country, but if California doesn't start getting the hold on this, there's a lot of businesses.
Yeah. I
mean,
we'll talk about it. We'll our thoughts and our expectations and our predictions for 2020.
Well, there'll be no thoughts because we don't really think, but there'll be some conversation.
Yeah. All right.
Well, have a good night, sir.
You too, man. Take care. Thank you everybody for listening and watching, and catch you guys all next week.